Hey everybody, today I'm going to be taking a look at the Art of Marvel Rivals art book. This was about $55 and is about 9 by 12 inches. So I'll go through the book in a minute. I won't be going through every single page, but just sort of pretty general overall view of what's in here. On the back of the book was this little paper that gives you a peek into what the book entails. The artwork on the cover and back of this book, I'm sure we've all seen this artwork before, but it's really cool. It doesn't include all the characters, but just sort of some of the main ones. We see a lot in promotion. I got this because I just love the Marvel Rivals art style in the video game, but also especially in the sketches and concept art. I love how geometric and sketchy it is, like all these lines that just go over each other. When you first open up the book, it has this really simple triangular pattern with a gradient going from this really pretty cornflower blue to a light baby blue. And if you played the game, I believe this is some sort of background on one of the tabs of the game, but I like that they included this right here. So opening it up, right here, a lot of artwork that if you played the game during Season 0, right at its release, at the launch, or during the beta, you probably recognize a lot of this artwork. This one right here is actually sort of a screenshot from like the 3D artworks. You can kind of tell, especially on Wanda, that this is the 3D model and not like any sort of sketch. Bunch of names. The contents right here. A lot of these Spider Folk. Galacta. And I think these two drawings right here really showcase like the heart of the Marvel Rivals art style. It is so geometric, the lines are so thick and fluid, and they really show a lot of the power and depth in the artwork. It is just so cool. That's why I had to have this book. So this book, you're gonna see it doesn't include, first off, doesn't include all the characters. It only goes up to the release of the Fantastic Four, and a show on those pages like up to which costumes it goes up to kind of give an idea of like the exact season that the book ended at. So my best guess also is that we're probably going to get more books after this, and I really want that because there's a lot of costumes I really want to see the concept art for in physical form. I really like having them in a book on pages instead of just online. And I believe they're in alphabetical order here. So starting off with Adam Warlock, this is the layout for all the characters in this book. We have his class and a little paragraph, which I believe is the exact same paragraph that's in the game, which is really cool. Like I said, I like having that stuff in a physical form. This stuff is just really beautiful. Really nice and big. It's definitely bigger than an 8.5 by 11 page, so it's a really good scale to see everything in detail. And the characters usually take up about 4 pages, I believe. Yeah, before they move on to the next one. This is what I thought was super cool. It's a bunch of sketches and artwork for the move sets of the characters. You're going to recognize that a lot of this stuff actually made it into the game and some of it didn't, which I think is really cool to see what was cut. This is for Black Panther's Ultimate, and it's really cool to see these really dramatic sketches of what that looks like when, if you play the game, you don't really get this, but it's really cool to see what they were going for. Some stuff just doesn't work out really in 3D or with gameplay, so it's really cool to see the actual artistic intentions. Here's even concept art for her weapons. I just love the poses they put the characters in. It's so, I mean, like, the artists are just crazy. They're so good at what they do, and everything really shows, like, who the characters are through just a simple pose. I really love the way Johnny's flames are drawn here, because this doesn't really translate into the game. Here's another example of a really dramatic perspective for one of the ultimates in the game. Like, this just looks so cool. Of course, it doesn't look exactly the same way, but just this feeling that you get of how powerful this move is really cool to see in the concept work. There are a bit of small paragraphs here and there. Usually they really just are like more so information about the game, so it's not super interesting. If you played the game, you kind of already know this stuff. But what I thought was interesting is that down here it says the classic comic image of Malice may not be well known among today's younger audience. To attract contemporary players, designers needed to carefully consider her design and boldly innovate to make something that resonates with modern tastes. So I thought that was one funny because it's talking about how they modernized the Malice design to resonate with modern audiences and stuff. So I did find that funny, but this is the information that I really love to see, like actual sort of behind the scenes, and what thoughts and ideas were being considered when making all these creative decisions. But also, I do really love this artwork for her Malice skin, and it's realistically like the same design that ended up in the game, but 2D to 3D, this artwork is just so beautiful. It's not just her pose, her expression, but really there's a bunch of thin lines used in this artwork in contrast to this more like delicate appearance that is actually using a lot of like thicker and messier lines. But that just goes to show how great these artists are, and that using thick and messy lines, they can create a really delicate look, versus these thin and cleaned up lines can still translate to like this really rough image. All the character introduction pages give their government name and then their hero name, which is really cool. So Lin Li, or Iron Fist, is actually the entire reason why I started playing the game. I saw videos of him being like an absolute menace in the beta, and I was like, yeah, I have to play this character. And the art style is just insane. I've always loved this like really harsh highlight they do, and it just really exaggerates all these really geometric shapes and lines that they use. It not only like really gets across that these are comics come to life, there's even like this, like the dots used in comics, the actual name for what it's called is slipping me. I think it's cell shading maybe, but they even use that, and it's just so cool. We got up close of like the bandages on his arms and hands, his boots, these really dramatic perspectives as well. And you might also notice like some of this artwork, like for this sketch, was used, I think this is used in one of his nameplates in the game. So that's really cool to see. His moves right here. He is a melee character, so these are basically all of his moves. As you can see, he can double jump, the wall running, and then his ultimate move. And some of his extra costumes. In chapter 2 of the book, it goes over locations with just these really beautiful spreads of backgrounds in the game. I think these are usually loading screens, but right before you get into a game. Just really beautiful works. Whoa, and even some of the vehicles from the backgrounds. The third and final chapter is game promotion, and it's just a bunch of screen caps from trailers, like the narrative prologue, some from the game opening animation, cutscenes, and here at the very end are some storyboards. And I like this sentence down here. It says, although the storyboarding phase is often the time when our team finds it hardest to reach a consensus, the biggest advantage of sketches lies in the fact that any simple stroke or modification can give birth to a great shot in the final production. So yeah, it's super cool to see the initial sketches to the concept art to the final product. And that was the art of Marvel Rivals. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.